We got P. Todd. She's number 4 in women's singles, number 7 in women's doubles.
I turned pro when I was 14. We're literally turning on the TV and the bombs are going off like an hour away from us. And we're like, we're just here for a tennis tournament. Like, no big deal. You have to figure out how to grow up and fend for yourself. If you don't know, you can't be street smart and figure things out. Like, you die. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like,
from what I can remember, you're the first really fashionable female player that brought like a tennis element to pickleball. I was like, she's gonna change the sport.
I'm gonna get good at this game.
wow.
And I'm gonna beat Parris Todd.
I've always wanted siblings because I wanted like forever friends. Sorry, I don't know. I'm getting emotional.
All right, so today on Pickleballers, we got P. Todd, one of my best friends in the sport. She's number 4 in women's singles, number 7 in women's doubles, and the
most fashionable
I was gonna say most
female
stylish
player in the world.
player.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, hands down.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
And another one of those players, when Fed and Dylan were on, I said that, you know, I'm a little spicy, so sometimes I get involved with some drama, but you're one of those players that I've never had an issue with. You're always so sweet. I think the way you carry yourself on the court it's like what a pickleball player should act like on the court, and how you dress and just how you carry yourself and the ups and downs. I just think you're always all class.
Yeah, I think that your
Thank you.
professionalism on and off the court, and just from knowing you so well, how hard you train, how serious you are, and the goals that you set to be or to raise the standard of being a professional pickleball player, I think are really inspiring. And yeah, I think people should look up to P. Todd.
I think the PPA juniors, I think you
set a great example.
Probably are and should be a role model.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. You're
So-
really buttering
Who
me
doesn't
up
set
here.
Enough of buttering Parris up.
You guys can keep it going. Come on.
We'll get more into that later. The buttering up. But how did you get here today?
I drove a Jeep here. If that's what you really want to know. I rented
saw
a
the
Jeep
but
with the top off.
I
I'm
saw
in
it.
California.
It was
I go-
styling. But how did you get here from a life? You know, I know your background, but like let's let everyone know who is Parris Todd. How did you get to this seat from a life, career, pickleball standpoint?
So I was previously a professional tennis player, and I grew up playing juniors, as Roscoe knows a lot of my story, and I'm sure you kind of know a little bit of it, but we haven't really dove in. I was number 1 in the nation in multiple age group in juniors. When I was 13 years old, I was winning women's opens, and I was this tennis prodigy. And I was at USTA Training Center in Carson, and I would go and I would train there with guys like Taylor Fritz and Tommy Paul. And I was a part of that, Sophia Kennan, I was a part of that junior elite group, and only a select few go to Carson and actually get accepted to do that program and play. And from a young age, I went to Bolletary when I was 8 years old, and once I did that, my parents decided, we're like, hey, like there's actually something really special here, and we really want to help you. They always wanted me to be number 1, and they wanted me to be the next Maria Sharapova, and that was kind of like my goal, and that was the person I looked up to, was Maria. And so we took that journey, and I took those steps of, okay, how do we get there? And all the sacrifices that were put into that from an early age is a lot, and the time and the dedication. So to be able to do that and now playing pickleball full circle is kind of surreal for me, because I never thought I would have a second opportunity at a professional sport. And I think a lot of the players in the game don't ever feel like, especially the older ones with families, they would ever have another chance at, you know, doing something and being professional at a sport again. Like a lot of them played tennis and went through that whole thing. But for me, that was kind of my journey. The start was tennis. And like I said, I turned pro when I was 14, and I started playing the challengers, and I was traveling internationally. I was going to Mexico, Egypt, Colombia, these 15,000s, 25,000s. And I was going through that whole life at a very early age, and I was very dedicated. I didn't live a normal life. I didn't go to high school like normal kids. I didn't have that.
Were you homeschooled?
So, funny story.
We were all homeschooled.
Yeah, we were all homeschooled, right? So I was homeschooled. So I went to like a fine arts academy from 5th to 8th grade. And my fine arts academy was basically, there was a group of us, and there was like 5 or 6 in a class, and all of them did musical instruments. But for me, my musical instrument was tennis. So they replaced that, and they were like, okay, she wants to come do this. She could do tennis when everyone else goes and sings and plays guitar, whatever that is. Cool. So that was like my schooling from 5th to 8th. And then from 8th on, my parents were like, let's hire a professional tutor and then have you learn that way, so I could still play tennis and train and travel and do all those things. And after that, I did that for about like 2 to 3 years, and my parents were like, well, do you really want to take this serious, and do you want to go pro? Because a lot of my coaches at the time were kind of pushing me to go to that next level and to start traveling and get into it very early. And so that's what I did. And that was kind of the plan from the beginning. And I stopped doing school at that point because I was traveling so much, like I said, to Egypt, to Colombia, to Mexico, to all these places to get points. Because when you start playing challengers, all you're trying to do is gain points to get to those masters and those Grand Slam tournaments.
So I'm not super familiar with this process. So you get the points to then be able to get automatic entry into the bigger tournaments. Is that how it works?
So the more points that you gain from those lower level tournaments, the higher your ranking, and the higher your ranking, the easier it is for you to get into like the Masters 1000s and then the Grand Slam. So like you are able to then play qualies and pre-qualies of the events to hopefully, because everyone's goal is to be at the Grand Slams and to do that. But everyone thinks that that's what tennis is. They think it's like the limelight of the Grand Slams and the amazing tournaments they have. And like, but that's not what tennis is like going up.
Yeah.
I mean, Roscoe knows, you lived it, you know. So it's like the challengers that they have.
It's a grind.
Yeah, it's a grind. Before that is like, you're going to these international places and like you're staying in hostels that are the tournament hotels, and like you're staying in places that don't have AC. Like I remember there was a bunch of people that went to Tunisia to play, and they're playing on like cow shit, essentially. And it's like, it's not even clay. Like it's,
I love that.
It's like people are like going and getting tetanus shots.
There should be
like,
a cow shit tournament in the PPA.
I think so.
I think we should text Connor and figure out how to make that happen.
Wooden paddles and cow shit court.
So, you know, just from knowing Parris, when she has a goal and she sets herself up for something, she's all in. And so you grew up in Newport Beach, am I right? Played junior tennis.
California.
You realize that, all right, I'm getting good enough to the point where I should take this to the next level, go play pro. What was that experience like when you went from, all right, I'm just playing junior tennis to I'm now 14 years old. You know, you still have the help of your parents, which is nice, but I'm going to go travel as a 14-year-old all across the world to try and rack up points in these crazy places with people I've never met. And I'm competing at, you know, a really, really competitive level to try and meet this goal of, you know, being that Maria Sharapova or being someone who makes the Grand Slams. Did you feel the pressure as a 14-year-old, or was that not existent because you were so young and it was just so exciting?
That's a great question. I definitely felt the pressure, right? I had a lot of eyes on me because I decided, a lot of people were telling me and coaches I had the time to go play ITFs and to really develop and grow into the player. And still, from junior, I had so many wins. And when I started playing pro, I started to have so many losses. So I didn't really know how to necessarily handle the losses because I was so used to all the wins. And I felt like it would have been more beneficial for me to blend the ITFs with the pro because I was also still developing my body and I still wasn't as big as the girls I'm playing against. I mean, the girls that play the challengers are in their late 20s and their 30s. And if they don't win that week, they don't eat. So it's a very different perspective of like, I'm going on my parents' dime and I'm trying to live this career and this dream that my parents want for me.
And they don't eat because they can't afford to eat?
No, I mean, these girls that go are so poor.
Different cultures.
Yeah, they're so poor. They can barely afford to, like, if they don't win that week, like they might not, like their accommodations are like, they just have nothing. And that's why they play tennis, to try and become someone and become something, because they come from these countries and they don't have anything.
Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of the time too, you get those very intense parents. In tennis, we saw this a lot. And especially when you go play those pro tournaments overseas, you just see it increase completely to the point where, like you said, like, there's so many stories of like kids losing and it's like, you know, they don't get to sleep at the hotel or they don't get to eat that night. And it's really intense.
Probably a lot of cultural differences.
Yeah, a lot of cultural differences. But at the same time, these are the people you're competing against. So it's like, there's just so, I mean, they want it so badly. It's very, very intense. And at least for me, like something that makes playing pickleball, here just more special. I feel like there's just less of that.
Yeah.
And so you started playing pro, you started having more losses. How long did you play on the pro tour for?
So I played about 4 years on and off. I had
14 to 18?
14 to 18. So I had a few injuries like in between. So I took like 3 months off here, 6 months off there, but never like a really long period of time. And so after playing tennis and turning pro, I had an opportunity. There was like a time period where I was injured where I always loved fashion and I loved designing, and I always felt like I saw things that people were selling or like different brands, and I was like, wow, like I want to do that. And I just felt like there was something inside me that was like, this is like your next step of life. And like, this is the direction that you need to go. And I started spray painting vintage jackets out of my garage. And I would go to Goodwill and like pick up like these denim jeans that were in style. And I would like write different sayings on them. And like, I came up with this cool brand called Wasted USA. And I started doing that, and I was flipping stuff on Poshmark, and I really liked it and I enjoyed it. And I felt like during that time when I was injured, like I needed that for me, because I needed to find myself outside of tennis, because tennis was my whole identity growing up. And I knew there was more to me, and that tennis was not just it for me. It was it because my parents wanted me to do that, and I didn't know anything else.
So your parents wanted it more than you wanted it, to an extent.
Well, the thing is, like, I did want it for sure. And I look back now and like, I wouldn't change a thing about any of that. But there is a point where when you're that dedicated to a sport and you're a kid, you miss out on so many opportunities of being a kid.
Yeah,
totally.
And I really wanted that. I wanted the socialization of going to normal school and having a boyfriend. And like, I see my friends having these things that play tennis, and I'm like, gosh, like I really want that, but I just can't have that. And I never felt like I was given that choice to make that decision. It was always like, this is what you're going to do, and this is what we're paying for, and this is your life. And I didn't know anything different.
Yeah.
Right. So now looking back, I was like, wow, like I wish there would have been more of a balance so that I could have found myself earlier on. It took a little bit of time to find myself, which is a part of my story. And I realize that now. But once I started flipping vintage items, and I was living in LA for a little bit, and I realized, hey, like there's a lot of people starting to wear my stuff, and like it's selling really well. And I knew someone growing up that they had a factory over in China overseas. And I reached out to him and I was like, hey, like I have these ideas to do different designs, and here's what my idea is for this brand. What do you think? And he's like, oh, I know exactly the right factory to connect you with, and I would love to help you. So I was like, okay, like that's kind of unheard of, being able to find a factory that early on and like have people willing to help you. So then from there, I started to work with him and getting samples made. And then I started doing photo shoots with girls I knew and different models in LA. And I started getting some traction with that on Instagram, and just
what year was
word of
this?
mouth. So I was 18 at the time. So I'm 26 now, 8 years ago.
Okay.
So about 8 years ago. And the buyers of Macy's approached me from my Instagram and were like, hey, we really love what you're doing. We want to launch I did streetwear and contemporary sportswear. We want to launch this department, and we love your stuff. We want you to come meet with me. I had started this brand, like I was 6 months into it. And I was like, is this like a scam message? Like, I didn't think it was real. And sure enough, like got on the phone with them, like met with them in New York, and they were like, we want to take on your line, and we want to do this, and we believe in you and believe in your clothes. And that's when I made the decision of like, I started to start playing tennis again and go back on the road. And like, I had this decision to make, like, do I want to go full force fashion in this business side, or do I want to continue to play tennis and like live this dream as a kid that I always wanted? So I made the decision to go into the business side of things and pursue my fashion line.
What's up, Pickleballers? Are you looking for the perfect energy boost on and off the pickleball court? Look no further than Rainstorm Clean Energy. It's not only great for energy, but it's great for your skin and hair. Look at my skin and look at my hair. Do you want that? Yes, you do. Fuel your game today with Rainstorm Clean Energy, available on Amazon.
I want to go back to the traveling piece. Like traveling is my favorite thing to do. I feel like you gain so much empathy and you know, obviously the learning different cultures and seeing how people live. And I think it's an amazing way to just grow. How did those travels inspire the clothing line, or did it? And also, like, was that just an amazing time, even though you were pretty young at the time, to be traveling to all these, I mean, it sounds like a lot of third world countries as well.
Yeah. The third world countries for me was very interesting because first of all, I would go either alone or with another player that was like in their mid 20s or a coach. So my parents never went with me. So I had to grow up really fast and I had to figure things out for myself and fend for myself, which a lot of kids that are like 14 or 15, well, like that's kind of unheard of now. Like,
but I want to stop you there because, and this is from my perspective, at like 14 or 15, when we were all playing tennis, like Parris had like a full blown website. Like she was like the first tennis player to like have a full.
So you knew of Parris.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
you stalked
No,
me?
I was talking about this to my mom the other day.
Parris?
yeah,
I knew
Roscoe was stalking me.
I knew Parris since I was like
Yeah, we knew each other since
like 10 or
kids.
something.
I knew
Yeah.
Paris.
Yeah.
I knew her.
Yeah, we knew each other.
He would stalk me.
She knew me. But like she was so professional, and you say growing up like quickly, like you were definitely ahead of the curve in terms of like the website, the fashion, the way you rolled
100%
up.
you were more
like,
mature than Roscoe at 14 than he is now.
I really hope so. I hope so.
yourself as well.
Honestly, that's not saying much.
Yeah.
but-
Sorry, I didn't interrupt, but I just want to add that point because I do think
good
it's like
context that you stalked her.
we did like see, the way that like you carried yourself. Like it showed at a young age.
And still
that.
to this
Yeah.
day, so
Professionalism.
not surprised.
I appreciate that. But I think it's from all the travel, really. Like I said, you have to figure out how to grow up and fend for yourself. Like if you don't know, like you can't be street smart and figure things out. Like you die. Like I don't know what else to say. Like you're stuck in Egypt. Like I would have
Did you
been
have like
stuck at the Red Sea.
any crazy experiences? And any one that sticks out where you're like, I can't believe this happened? And
So when I went to Egypt, I was there for a month straight and I'm 15 years old and my parents didn't go with me. And I'm with another girl that's playing on tour and she's like 27 at the time. And we're in Sharm el Sheikh. So we're an hour away from, I don't know if it's pronounced Cryo or like the capital. And this was the time that the bombing was going on. So we're literally turning on the TV and the bombs are going off like an hour away from us. And we're like, we're just here for a tennis tournament. Like no big deal. The bombs are going off like an hour away. Like, and we're here just playing on a rubber court and like hitting a tennis ball around. Like it was surreal and it was crazy. And especially being that young, like I didn't fully understand like what that was like. And my parents should feel crazy for sending me alone during that time.
Yeah, Zoe's not. I have a 5-year-old and she's not going.
Well, imagine sending your 14 or 15-year-old girl to like a war zone and being
Yeah.
like, hey, like hit a tennis ball around. And
I think those were different, slightly different times, but not really.
Yeah.
But like, was there security with y'all? Were you with a crew of other tennis players?
Yeah, so there was like tournament hotels that we would stay at. So in that specific venue, the tournament hotel was where the courts were. So if girls left the hotel because of the religion, they would go to like grocery stores and they go to get food and they would get proposed to because they're not wearing the full like turbans and they're not covering themselves. So like men in that culture would go out and see them and they would be like, they've never seen that. So they want that.
Yeah.
So that was really crazy.
What's your relationship like, or I guess what was your relationship like with your parents during this time? Were you guys super close? I know you're an only child. Were you super, I guess, were they like tiger parents or were they just like super loving? How was that?
My parents at the time, it was very like, I was very disciplined as a kid and my dad kind of instilled that for me from an early age because he is so that way. I was like, he's very organized, very disciplined. Like he wakes up at 3 a.m., like reads his Bible, prays, goes, works out, starts working at, 5:30 in the morning, like already has his workout done by the time I get up. And
Still to this day, he's like this?
oh, still to this day.
He's an absolute.
What's his name?
Charles.
Yeah.
Charlie.
I love you, Dad. So that was instilled in me in a really early age.
What's your relationship like?
They always supported me. And what I really appreciate about my parents is they sacrificed a lot for me to live that life, to whether it was time-wise, whether it was financially, it was like all of the things combined. And I appreciate them now so much for that because they gave up a lot to support me in my career because they really felt like it was the best thing for me and it was going to set me up for the rest of my life. So I will never take that for granted. I think that now looking back, there's like a difference of going through that now of like what I would change for my kids now and my family of, okay, how do we balance that professional life and that dedication with like
Being a kid.
Yeah, being a kid and friends and family and time to like just enjoy life. And I felt like I didn't get that as a kid. So that was the disconnect for me. And that's what I'm learning now of like, okay, how can I, whether that's being married to someone, having a family, how can I balance that life and how can I have fun playing pickleball, but also really dive into relationships and meeting people and connecting and putting all of that together versus like being so disciplined where you don't have the friends, you don't have the life. It's like, okay, now let's like put everything together off everything I've learned and like make a better version of me for my spouse and my family.
I love that. Before we kind of go back to I want to hear how the fashion clothing brand.
Well, I know you want to wear my clothes, Jared.
I do. Do you have any men's lines yet?
So I had some pieces that were kind of unisex because it was the time of like streetwear and urban and contemporary was very cool, and cargo pants and tracksuits. So I feel like you could have rocked
Cargo
one
pants,
of those.
like what Roscoe
I feel
has
like
on.
Roscoe would have worn some of my cargo pants and my tracksuits because they were like kind of.
I did get a call
unisex.
earlier from MC Hammer. He said he wanted his pants back. But so I have a question before you. I want to hear the conclusion, or maybe there's not a conclusion of the clothing brand. But so you were an only child. I have one daughter, and I don't think we're gonna have any more kids. How was that for you?
I have a love-hate relationship with it because I was the center of their world, which I really appreciated. And I always got everything that I felt like I needed. And they always put me as a priority, which I appreciate now looking back. But now being older, I do wish I had a sibling or maybe a few, because I see like Hunter and Yates and their relationship they have now. And I see you with all your brothers. And I think that I've always wanted that relationship with, sorry, I don't know, I'm getting emotional.
Yeah.
I've always wanted siblings because I wanted like forever friends.
Yeah.
And I feel like finding true friends is so hard.
Yeah.
And I wanted that.
Yeah. So should we have another kid?
Sorry. Yes, have another kid.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that.
I honestly think this is like so cool to see. I mean, I grew up with 4 or 3 brothers.
Like
and
amazing family. Like
Yeah,
literally
such a
like
good family.
I wake up every day and I know how lucky I am to like have my family. Like it's 6 people in my family. It's amazing. But I've also never thought about it like as if
You didn't have them.
if I didn't have them. But honestly, now that I think about it, like,
but you can call them at
it's-
any time
it's
in like your relationship.
It's such an
with them.
important part of me for like even to like live is just like
Yeah.
You know, I get
siblings
that.
are tricky though, man. Like I have
Yeah.
a brother who we're super close now, but we had a tough road. Like we went to therapy. Like it's
Really?
Yeah, siblings can be amazing.
You have one brother?
One brother, and he's been such a huge part of our lives. He literally gave us the gift of having our daughter. We had to do IVF, and then we were like, we can't afford anymore because it was so expensive. And he's like, I'll pay for the last round, and we got like all these
gosh.
embryos, and
That's
so literally our
amazing.
daughter is because of my brother, and he's just
Wow.
the most generous. He's an amazing human being, and yeah, I think siblings, and it's so interesting to see. I have friends who are only children, and you know, I think
Just
it
their
really
perspective.
shapes their life.
Yeah, it does. But I think like for me now looking back, like I am the person I am today because I was an only child.
Totally.
And I can kind of step back now and look at like, okay, being an only child, there's like a bit of selfishness that comes to that because you don't have to think about anyone else.
Yeah.
So now I'm like trying to translate that in relationships of like, how can I now not be as selfish as I used to be? And how can I work on myself to understand someone else and be that for someone else and like do different things.
Yeah.
So it's just a learning curve.
I just want to say something about Parris. And I've always said this for years. Your most amazing trait is how professional you are, how disciplined you are, and how you actually are able to put yourself first and see yourself as a high priority.
Just making sure she takes care of herself.
She is not afraid to go get what she thinks is hers. And I think in business, in life, just through this whole pickleball world,
It's an amazing attribute.
Putting
I agree.
yourself first is sometimes necessary. And I think you have this discipline instilled in you that sometimes even I wish like I could do a little bit
too.
more of that. So I wouldn't take it as like a bad thing necessarily. I think it's amazing. And I think you're able to take care of yourself, which is gonna attribute to taking care of others.
And I think the
Appreciate
self-awareness of that, of like, I now want to get to a place where I can be there for someone else. I can build a
Yeah.
family. I think that's amazing self-awareness. And I do think that it's like, it's a superpower, right? Like being able to take care of yourself and ask for what you need and take what you need. I've had this conversation with some of my best friends. Like there's selfishness and there's selflessness. And I think it's okay to be both. Really. Like I think it's really important to be both. And I've always found that like, the first time I met you, I think was actually at David Dobrik's, or where we played with David Dobrik, or maybe I met you before. That was the first time we really hung out. And I had this perception, and I want to talk about this as it pertains to fashion, because I think when you came into the sport, from what I can remember, you're the first really fashionable female player that brought like a tennis element to pickleball. And I remember I think you were playing Anna Lee, where was that? San Clemente. I was in Park City watching it on TV, and I was like, she's going to change the sport, like from a vibe and the way you carry yourself standpoint. But when I met you, I was like, oh, this girl, she's me so stuck up, like, and I met you and you were so cool.
Did I live up to the expectation?
No, you're so kind. And
Thank
you've
you.
always been that way with me. And I saw at San Clemente when we hung out, like how the other female players are they're drawn to you. And so I think you're doing a great job from what it looks like in terms of making those lifelong friends and being that person that, people want to be around. So
thank you.
We talked about this with Leia when we had her on the pod, but like how me, Leia, and Parris were all on the same MLP team, Columbus.
Oh, we miss you, Roscoe.
It was so fun. We had the best time, but like Parris and I were obviously really good friends, but we didn't know Leia as well. And Leia played
This
that
is a fun
first.
story.
Leia played that first mixed doubles match or women's doubles match with Parris, and it's just like immediately you could tell she's like, wow, I really like playing with Parris. Like, she's such a supportive partner. Like, I respect her so much. Like, but it was that thing where she said, where I respect her so much. She's more worried about her play because she knows like how much she respects Parris. So it like brings the level of others like up. And I think that's a really cool attribute to have in life. Like you bring others up around you.
You and Leia makes, I think, such an interesting duo, right? Like,
Leia's great. I mean, she was so fun during that whole like.
Roscoe and I really have gotten to know her, and from the outside, she seems like a little tough, and she can be Leia and have her things on the court, and people judge her, and I now see the inside of Leia, and I've had conversations with her, and she's really such a genuine person, and she is just longing to make herself better every day. And like, it's a constant battle she fights even with the diabetes and not being able to fully emotionally be there all the time. And like, but she knows she has to put in work for herself, and she wants to put in that work. And people that go through things like that don't want to acknowledge the problems that they have, and they're not receptive to hearing what they need to work on. And she's receptive and open to all of that and is constantly working on things. So I really admire that about Leia. And we're actually staying at the same Airbnb here this week. So we're having a lot of fun, and Rachel's with us as well. So we've been connecting, and it's been really good getting to know Leia.
Yeah. So. When I said that, like, I've had some issues, she was one of the people. We talked about it on the podcast, and, we've had our battles and people going in and talking about the way she is on court. And I think she saw me as like, why are you allowing people to post that? And I'm like, I'm in a tough spot, but I got to know her.
Jared's like, I got this community of 120,000 people.
170. But no, I got,
okay.
I got to know her, and I got to hear her story, and I have a totally different perspective of her now.
And I think you hit it on the head is her story. And a lot of people judge off the surface and what they see, but they don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and they don't know what makes the person the way that they are, right? And that's what I really respect about Leia is all of the things she's been through. If you knew even half of it, your jaw would drop to the floor. And the fact that she's still willing to like, I know I need to do this. I need to work on this. Can you help me? Can you hold me accountable? Like, that's to find
amazing.
that character in someone is like really hard to find.
Yeah.
So I really admire her for that.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, like when you're playing, I can't remember a time where like you hit your head self in the head with a paddle, or where you threw a paddle, or where you got into a fight. I actually think maybe early on in your pickleball career, you have the same amount of fire, but I think some of the intensity did get like, was there ever moments with players? I kind of remember like it being a little bit more then than it is now. Cause now when I watch you, you're so composed. What is your take on that? Like someone like a Kate Fahey, who we were in Necker with, and I think is amazing. I love Kate as a person. And sometimes, and I saw her recently, and she was losing and was, holding herself in a different way.
Yeah.
But does that ever, like, how do you maintain that composure?
I think it really has just been instilled in me from an early age of like being this, like all of the hard work that I put into tennis and the discipline that goes in with that, and having to wake up every day and do something over and over. And I think for me, like I've always had this temperament of being very calm And I think that it translated over into my pickleball game a lot. And I think all of the experience from tennis really helped me because I've been through so many different challenges in life and so many different phases that I just know that it's just another match. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really mean much. And if I go out there and I give my 100% effort and I do the best that I can, then I'm good with that.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
So, but if I go out there and I'm not trying or I'm not doing the right things that I'm working on, then that's when things get out of whack.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of players have to go into it thinking like, hey, how can I give my best and do my best and put my best face forward and maintain like, I also am a believer, so I represent God.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important to like show people that out of everything I've been through in my life and all the challenges and whatever, like I'm the person I am today because of all those experiences, because of God and because of my walk with him. So it's a very different perspective of like, I'm not representing just myself, I'm representing Jesus as well. So I have that perspective kind of when I go out there. And that doesn't mean I don't get upset and that doesn't mean I'm perfect.
How do you release your rage? Do you ever rage?
I've had a few times after I've lost, I've gone to the players lounge and I've broken some paddle.
Really?
I will say.
So you'll release the
Yes.
rage? Okay, good.
Yeah,
So
but
sometimes
I mean,
for you though, I feel like North Carolina, for instance, like it was less of rage and more of like the overwhelming situation of playing a lot of matches and doing
Yeah.
so well and being on the road for so long and
Yeah.
at the same time keeping up with your content and your life and your family. And I think sometimes for you, and I don't want to speak for you, but I just feel like I've noticed this, it's less rage and more of you get overwhelmed sometimes,
Yeah.
like off the court. You don't show that on the court, but like, I
Yeah,
feel
but
like-
Roscoe, I want to know how you release your rage because I think you got some rage and I think it's good to release it.
Roscoe has some rage.
I think too.
Do I?
I think
he
everyone. I
doesn't
think
have a
everyone
rage
needs
bone in his body.
a safe way to release the stuff they have going on. I think it's hugely important. So that's kind of one of the things. We're gonna go scream at the top of a hill.
Yeah,
after this is
I
done.
like
should
to do
that.
like
I think we should go to one of those rooms where you break a bunch of stuff and like let's just all do that together.
This one.
I want to touch a little bit on, because we know your whole tennis story now, how you found pickleball. I know there's a funny story in there with meeting Ryan Sherry and your whole, him being such a good friend of yours, but how did you come to discover pickleball after this whole fashion thing?
So when COVID happened, my business was mainly, like I said, selling to Macy's, and we would also sell to boutiques. So we were a wholesale business, so we sold to retailers. We didn't really have much of a platform of our own because we didn't spend much marketing dollars. We were just focused on our wholesale business. So when COVID happened, it kind of sunk us because no one was going in stores, no one was buying like they were before. And I started playing at Newport Beach at TTC, and the owner there approached me, Sean Abdallah, and he approached me and basically said, hey, listen, like I know there's these pros that are making X amount, and he's like, I really think that you should give this a shot. And
He was your
like,
first agent, right?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah, he really helped me a lot from the beginning. And my grandparents have been playing for 10 years, and they always told me like, hey, you should really get into this. And I was like, you guys are crazy. Like, this is an old person sport. Like, there's no way I'm going to give up tennis for this. And I started playing for fun. And I started meeting some really cool people along the way. Like I met Ryan Hurley, Garrett Goslin, like he's the owner of Carbon. And they were just awesome. And I really enjoyed just playing with them and like meeting their families and spending time with them. And from there, I was like, I just want to go to socialize because I felt like I was missing the piece of the socialization in my life that I needed and the connections and the relationships. And I found that when I would go play at Newport and I would go play with them. And that just kind of drew me to the sport. And then I had some other people that were like, hey, like, you're kind of good. Like, maybe you should play some tournaments. So then I played a tournament at the club, and it was like
Were you signed with Carbon at this point? Because I knew that was your first brand, right?
That was my first brand I was signed with, yes. And Garrett was amazing. He helped me out so much, and he really believed in me and took a chance on me. I wasn't signed at this time, but this was kind of like the grassroots and beginning of everything. So I played a tournament at Newport, and I think I was playing like 5-0, and me and my partner had lost to like these 6-year-old ladies. And it was like the worst feeling in the world, right? Like when you are an ex-professional whatever, and you go and pickleball, you're losing to 6-year-old people, and you're like, am I a loser? Like, what is happening? Like, what is this sport? So from there, I was kind of like, okay, like I really got really competitive because that's just like my nature. And I was like, I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm gonna start drilling. I'm gonna take this seriously to like actually get better. And I did that, and I had the right people around me to help me. And Ryan would take me out and he would drill with me. And like, he didn't ever have to do that, but he was like, I see you
Ryan
have potential. No, Ryan Hurley.
Okay.
So he was at Newport at the time. So his family started Hurley and they sold it. And then they have, now they have their Florence brand and other brands they sell, but he really helped me at the time and got me into it. And it's just cool looking back, like how everything progressed. Like I never meant to be here. I never meant to be pro or playing. I didn't even know what being a pro was at the time. And now it's like, it's crazy surreal.
This is bringing back a crazy memory for me. So so first off, I just thought about this.
It brought me back crazy.
Dude,
I saw it in your eyes. Oh my God, no.
So Sean called me because I met Sean.
Oh, so you know Sean?
I know Sean. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he actually paid us to come out and promote MLP Newport when it was there. But he called me at some point and I didn't know him at the time. And he's like, hey, I've got this girl, Parris Todd. She's going to be huge in the sport. And then do you remember when you used to wear the kitchen logo on your visor?
Yeah, of course.
So do you know that we used to do this?
No.
We used to work with players and it was Parris. It was Alex Trong for a minute. It was, there was like a number of players. And then we actually kind of bogarted MLP Austin, the first MLP, and we got all these players to wear our logo and they were like livid. They were like,
oh, really?
Dude, you have your logo on all of our jerseys. Like, what are you doing? But I remember that. And so I'm just trying to remember, I'm trying to figure out the puzzle of like when I actually first met you. I think we had a call. We had like a Zoom call, but it's all just coming back. It's really wild.
Through Sean that we made that connection.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. I didn't know that.
I think that's how we first connected, and you were with Carbon at the time, but you had a story too. Sorry.
So you know when you said you lost the 6-year-old ladies and you were like livid and you like wanted to keep like playing and it like made you more competitive?
Yeah.
Was that Beth Bellamy?
No.
Oh, no, I would have taken that loss. Be like, Beth, you deserve it.
So I went to Hawaii in December of 2022.
The classic Bellamy trip.
The classic
Hawaii.
Bellamy Hawaii trip.
amazing.
And my mom had started playing.
You're not invited.
Jared's not been invited yet.
I have.
So my mom had started playing pickleball, and because my mom was playing pickleball, 108s had already come a lot because of tennis, and we were friends with them, but they were into pickleball now. They brought Parris, and then my dad, he's vegan. He met Megan Azan, and Megan Azan came.
Yeah.
And Megan talked about Shelby Bates.
What does the vegan thing have to do with it?
We just love categorizing Steve.
No, like because that's how. That's another story. But Wes Burrows was like, "Hey, Steve, like there's this vegan pickleball player, like vegans love each other.
Gotta stick together.
Vegans
Are
love
you
each
vegan?
other. No, but
Me?
Megan Azan's vegan, and she came on the trip too.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Long story short, we get there and everyone's playing pickleball, and I was a tennis player at this time, and I was like, all right, let's like go see what this whole pickleball.
This
thing
is when
about.
you hadn't really.
I had not played.
You didn't know anything about it.
But I was a tennis player, and so
Yeah.
I come out to the courts and.
I'm scared.
I come out to the courts and I'm with Connor Hance, my best friend. He owns Enhanced Pickleball, total stud, and he had been playing a little bit at the time. And I say, hey, like let's play a game. And so it was me and Connor Hance, and we played Parris and Shelby Bates, who were the first ones there. And we ended up playing this game.
How bad did we beat you guys?
We lost. Connor Hance and I lost 12-10.
Was it that close?
It was a very close game.
Wow, I don't remember
And
that.
I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. Like guys, let's play again.
Were you?
I definitely
you didn't know
didn't
third
think-
shot drops. You're just ripping.
Hance
He's
took
a
every
ripping
drop.
third.
Hance took every drop. All I would do is like come to the kitchen.
You weren't
and volley.
dinking.
Well, no.
It's probably just speeding up.
So we lose
Try to body
12-10.
bag.
And Hunter Yates, Rob Nunnery, all these people, because Rob Nunnery was the head coach at McKenna Club out there, were playing on the other court. And so I was like, oh, that's 12-10. And you know, when you lose a game 12-10, it's like, oh, let's do a rematch. Like, these are really good games. And Parris and Shelby were like, no, we're going to go over there and play games. Like, sorry, guys. And I remember looking at Connor and being like, what the... Like, just, I was so angry. I was like, these girls, like, we just lost 12-10 and they don't want to play us again.
We were probably scared. I mean, we're scared to
And
lose
I was
to you
like,
at that point.
I was literally like, I'm going to get good at this game.
Were they good at the time?
Wow. Okay,
They
so
were pros.
You were a pro.
They were pros.
do you give a little bit of credit to me, you think, for that?
Yeah, I was literally, I was like, I'm going to get good at this game.
Wow.
And I'm gonna beat.
And I'm going to beat Parris Todd and Shelby freaking Bates.
How was
That's
Bates on the
hilarious.
trip?
Because Megan was best friends with her. So Megan brought her. It was kind of like anyone could come. It
Yeah,
was like,
except you, Jared.
Except for
Sorry.
me.
yeah, it's over Jared.
Me and Oda. The only
Sorry,
two.
I had to add that because I was like, I was literally like,
You were literally thinking, I saw
when
you.
you said
your
6-year-old and you were livid that you lost, I was like,
Yeah.
I remember this moment when I
you
played
lost
Parris.
to girls.
Well, no, I was mad that you guys wouldn't play us again. Like, hey, we're having a great time, like fun, friendly games.
I wasn't having a great time, almost losing.
12-10, and then like they were like, now we're gonna play with the good
How
guys.
many speed ups off the bounce did
Dude,
you
I was
hit?
probably now thinking about it. I mean, I was probably playing not like good.
Probably,
We
I'd say
probably
you're,
played
I'd say
like
you're
10
like 0.3
outballs of
better
his.
now than you were then. Is that-
Yeah.
That's
a little
it,
bit,
yeah.
a little
That's
bit.
about it, yeah.
So okay, how'd you meet Ryan Sherry? Because he is a friend to all and an inspiration to none. But how did you meet?
Oh, shoot.
I love you, Ryan. I'm just kidding.
This is a great story, actually. So I met him playing at a tournament in Arizona. It was one of my first tournaments. I think I had gotten bronze. It was like one of my first singles tournaments ever. And the doubles was like a total tank. Like I didn't know how to play. And I played singles and I think I got third or fourth, like something like that. And I remember that. So at this time we were at Bellbank Park and they didn't have the players lounge for us inside. It was literally like a canopy, like tent with like a cooler. And they're like, this is the players lounge. And I was like, so is this what pro pickleball is? And I see this little bitty guy sitting on this cooler, sitting on the cooler. And I'm like, hey, like, can I get underneath you? And he's like, you can get underneath me anytime you want. And
my
I'm
God,
like,
Sherry.
oh no,
sure.
this is the wrong person to say that to. And we talk about this story all the time because it's so funny because I obviously didn't mean it like that, but it's Ryan. So he's going to take it that way. And that was the start of our friendship.
But then you moved, like he got you into the pickleball scene in Florida.
Yeah.
He's like, because you were like, hey, I need better practice. I'm getting good. And he was like, move out to Tampa.
Because I'm still good friends with Sherry, but I used to talk to him a lot, and he was like, "Oh yeah, P Todd, you know P Todd," and I was, and then at one point when you moved there, I was like, "Are they dating? Like, what is happening right now?"
Yeah.
I really was dumbfounded, and I was super impressed with Sherry. But
No, and Ryan and I never dated. So what Ryan did, a really big thing for me, is he kind of took me under his wing. And Ryan is connected to so many different people and he knows everyone and everyone knows him and loves him.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, I know that you're trying to take this seriously. And he's like, I have all of these amazing people in Fort Myers and in Naples that are top players. Why don't you come here, take a chance? Why don't you be around these people? And he's like, I have a facility there you can utilize anytime that you need and take this seriously. Like, let me help you. So I was like, wow, like this guy is so genuine and like he's willing to help me with all these things. Like, I'm going to take a chance. And it just felt, I had a piece about it. And Ryan was so cool with me. And there was never like, especially sometimes people will be like, wow, were you and Ryan dating? Like Cameron and I had a very special relationship with Ryan and we really all looked after each other and we cared for each other because we felt like during that time when we had moved to Naples, because Cameron and I moved together there, that Ryan took care of us and we took care of Ryan in very different ways. And our friendship was always, we were all three very close. And I always appreciate Ryan for, he'll do anything for anyone and
So
take the shirt
generous.
off his back for anyone.
And
he
won't
did that
ask
for me.
anything in return.
Never ask.
That's what's amazing
Exactly.
about Ryan is like he will do good things for other people.
And he's really been such a huge part of growing the sport, like connecting PPA with, I think, like ESPN, like crazy
They
stuff.
did the first ESPN event for PPA at Underground, the facility that he owns. And he set all that up and brought all the people together to make it
Underground
happen. It was something like that. They had like all of those Margaritaville chairs set up and like it was on
remember that.
ESPN. But he facilitated all of that. And a lot of people don't know that. He was like, he's really like the puzzle piece to like how pickleball is the way it is and where it is.
He's also got a lot of celebrities involved in the sport. The Gronkowskis.
Yeah.
For those who don't know Ryan, well, he has a company called Legacy Sports.
Legacy Pro Sports.
Legacy Pro Sports works with retired NFL players and helping them get their post-career benefits. So he's super connected to NFL guys and athletes and celebrities. And he's just super lovable share bear. Yeah,
He is. Yeah.
What's up, pickleballers? I've got the Franklin C45 pickleball paddle here. This thing's played by J.W. Johnson, Hayden Patriquin, Parris Todd. It's one of the most versatile pickleball paddles in the market. Tons of power, tons of pop, tons of spin. You got to get this paddle. Check it out, franklinsports.com today.
Now that you're a top pro pickleball player, you know, you've done a lot in the sport. What are your goals? What's on the list of I'm playing right now because I want to achieve X?
It's funny you asked that because I feel like over the last year, my goals have really shifted and they've really changed. when I first got into the sport, I was like, I want to be number one in the world in everything, in all three, in women's singles and mixed doubles and women's doubles. And now I feel like my priorities have kind of shifted a little bit, and I still want to be that. And I want to be the best player that I can possibly be. And I put in the time and work to do that. But I think now I'm taking a step back and realizing how important relationships are and how important people are and how important not just this pickleball world is and the rankings and all of that is, but more of like, how can I capitalize being the pioneer of this sport, and how can I use the platform that PPA has given me and that pickleball has given me to create a business and to create a life for myself that's not just my time spent on court. So I've been having these thoughts recently of like, how can I do that? And I really am passionate about starting a clothing line because of my history of doing that already and having the experience of that. And I'm having conversations now with some brands of how do we partner together? How do we do this so that when I'm off court, I have this brand that I'm able to design and help run and have my input a part of it and like be the clothing brand of pickleball. And I'm starting to think of like, okay, what else can I do on top of that? So like my business side of me has really kind of ignited a little bit. And I feel like you never know when your time on court could be up. And a lot of players don't think about if you get injured or if something happens, like, well, then what do you do then? Like, I want to have that set up before I get to that point and be able to create relationships with people that last a lifetime. And the people I've met in pickleball compared to tennis is insane.
Yeah.
I've met so many cool people that do so many amazing things that are so willing to help and mentor me. And in any way, they're like, if you want to start something, or so I'm trying to figure out, okay, I want to do this clothing line. I know that 100%. How do I then capitalize on other things and like grow my name within the sport and start another brand? So I'm always on the lookout for opportunities and how to capitalize on that.
Yeah. I mean, so something that you've done recently that I think is really cool with Franklin is, and I know you have the paddles next to you, but you designed these paddles. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your signature line?
Yeah, I'm so excited because number one,
will you show the chrome? I mean, it's super sick.
I will. So this was my first choice of a signature paddle, which is this purple chrome. It's the C45 line. And then, so there was a few options I had in the beginning. I started with, I would say like 7 or 8 designs, and I narrowed it down to 1. But then Franklin really liked this other design. So I chose the purple for my first signature paddle, and they did a focus group, and the focus group all loved this, which is like a pinkish blue. This one's a little more unisex in my opinion. It's very loud, it's different. And they were like, hey, we know you want to do the purple and we love it, but we also want to do the pink and the blue chrome. So let's make it happen. And the whole process has been so great because they've been so receptive to the ideas that I've had. And I feel like when you partner with companies, sometimes they want it their way, but they've really given me the creative directive to kind of take the chrome ideas that I had for my signature and run with it. And I'm so blessed to be a part of that Franklin family because they truly are a family and they really treat me that way. And just designing these paddles, in the early stages, I really thought of like, okay, there's such a need in the market for women's products. And I felt like it was such a male dominant sport and market. How do I bring my ideas and the feminine side of design to pickleball? And I feel like with these paddles, I really nailed that, and with the help of them. So I'm really excited to launch these within the next month. But for me, it's like the creative process of like coming up with the ideas to like do something different, and the chrome and like the colorways. Like I get really excited about that. And when I see it come to life and like I get them in the mail, and like these are like the grassroots and the first steps of like doing something different in pickleball. Like I feel like everyone does the same thing. The brands like copy each other. Like I wanted Franklin to be different and do this. So the fact that they took a chance on me and they were willing to launch these paddles, like I've had so many people come up to me like, what's that edge guard tape? I'm like, it's not tape, it's the paddle.
Oh, you're playing with it right now.
So they have other versions of the C45. I've played with the red one, the blue one, and the green one, but these are still, so these will be, I'll start playing with them next month and they'll be for sale next month.
Nice.
So they're not in the marketplace yet, but this is kind of what we created, and we're just waiting on when we can start selling them and launch them and move forward.
On the like fashion front, I could be wrong, but from what I remember, your deal with Aloe was like the first big deal that was kind of a non-endemic, like there was like Jigsaw Health. But I remember when you got your deal, I feel like that really changed the landscape of the sport and pro players as it pertains to sponsorships. Is that accurate?
I really appreciate that. I never reached out to Aloe. I never sought after it. I always loved the brand. And there was actually, the story goes of when I was playing in San Clemente and the year that I beat Anna Lee in the finals, I was wearing this blue Aloe set, and it was like this skirt with like this halter top. And I posted it, and PPA posted it. And the owner of Aloe reached out to me and DM'd me on Instagram and was like, hey, like, we really love you at Aloe. We love you in this outfit. Like, come and meet with us in our offices in LA and like, come have a sit down. And I was like, the same thing that happened with my clothing line in Macy's. I was like, what? Like, this guy owns Aloe? Like, I did some research on him to like make sure. And it was him. He was one of the owners, because there's two. And sure enough.
This is the Harrises, right?
Yeah, this is Danny Harris.
And they're big pickleball guys, right?
So at the time, I didn't know this, they had 3 pickleball courts at their house.
With lower nets, right?
So they call it Harris ball. So they have these pickleball courts at their house, and they lower the nets because they don't like dinking. So they just want to hit everything as hard as they can. They love singles, like that. They just created their own identity of what they thought pickleball should be. And it was amazing. And it was so fun. So I went and I met with them in their office, and he's like, hey, I really want to take a chance on you because I love the sport and I believe in you. He's like, what do you need from me? So then we ended up working on a deal where it was beneficial for both sides, and he supported me. And he always said, like, I want to support you through this career no matter what. And I believe in you. So he's been so generous to me, and he's been so supportive. And he was, at the time I was partnering with Selkirk as well, but he was really the first person to be like, hey, like, I believe in you, whatever you need, I got you, and let's do this together. And to have someone like that in your corner, especially it was Aloe. Like, it was such a big brand. I was like, how is this real? Like, and people don't understand, like, they're like, oh, you just get, this free stuff. But it's like, no, it's like much more than that, the relationship I have with him. So it's just been like, it's been crazy, this whole journey and this whole process. Like, I never thought with pickleball.
There's a common thread I keep hearing, and it's that you keep having people in your corner. And I think that's really special. I think that, you had Sherry, you had the Carbon guys, you had Sean, you have, the Harris from Aloe. Like, I think that speaks to you as a person, and I hope you're able to see that, because I think there's something really cool about that.
Well, and I think relationships are everything, right? And I kind of briefly touched on that a little bit. And just the relationships you create with people are lifelong, and business opportunities come and they go, but like, you always have the relationships and you always have people, and that's the most important thing.
We had talked about in the car over here what we wanted to ask, and I think Roscoe had a great question around your relationship with PPA and MLP, and I'm curious how that like shook out. Like, now you're playing MLP. What was that like, being kind of an outlier? So
during the time, it was when all the gold card stuff was going on, and PPA was offering like players all these different things and incentives, and I had to make the decision of, do I want to be exclusive with this league in a sport that's so new and it's growing so fast, or do I want to be a free agent, and do I want to really test the potential opportunities of being a big fish in a smaller pond? And for me at the time, I weighed out all my options and I had everything on the table, and I had a very lucrative deal with PPA, and they were giving me everything that I wanted and that I was looking for, but it didn't feel right. I didn't have a piece about it. And at that time, like, I was going back with my family, and Hunter and Yates were involved in this decision too, because they were trying to figure out, like, what do we all do? Because we're all in the same position. And we just felt led to take the APP route and be free agents and see what opportunity came from that. And I still feel like it was the right decision for me, because it helped me develop and grow into the player I am now. And even like having those wins and that confidence of really growing as a player and playing all those matches and like doing the back draws that come around in APP and like all the hardships from that year, like that was a really hard year for me, because I also saw everyone on PPA and MLP like playing against each other, and it just seemed better and the platform seemed bigger. And I was like, gosh, like, did I make a mistake? Did I make the wrong decision? But it really shaped me to be able to be the player I am now and the person I am now, of like, now I really appreciate PPA and everything that they've built, because I've been able to be on both sides and see from the outside looking in, like everything that they do for the players and for the fans. And I really appreciate that. And I think there's different phases of life that you need to go through in order to get to certain places that you end up. And that was just a platform, and that was just my path. And I knew it was the right path. But during the time, like, I'm so confused of like, gosh, like, why do I feel so drawn to make this decision when I don't really want to make it? I want to do what everyone else is doing and be a part of the normal. And like, I got FOMO of, oh my gosh, all the good players, all my friends are playing on this tour and I'm not there. But it was just, it grew me as a person and as a player. And I'm grateful for that experience.
And you got to play with Simone a lot of tournaments, who was the original GOAT, right? Like she was the greatest female player before Anna Leigh came into the sport. And I think that must have been a pretty awesome experience. Yeah,
that was an amazing experience because Simone really, she helped develop me and she gave me a lot of advice and she helped me be the player that I was when I started playing PPA. And I learned a lot out of that partnership, good and bad. And I think that I really needed that in that time of my career, and it's really helped me to where I am now.
So let's talk about, you're talking about relationships. I think unlike maybe other relationships in pickleball, your relationship with Hunter has been one that's been out in the open. You guys have been super supportive of one another. And I think a lot of people know now that the relationship has ended. I'm curious what it's like to have a partner, two high level pickleball players on tour together, supporting one another. What was that like? And is there anything that you want to share around that? Or is there ways like Hunter just, won recently at San Clemente. So I think that moral fortitude and resolve is amazing. I'm just curious about that relationship.
Well, I mean, everything's very new and it's very fresh. And like you said, the fact that he was able to win this week in San Clemente was huge for him. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud of him for accomplishing that during this hard time that we've had. The fact that we were able to have our relationship in pickleball that we did throughout all of the chaos and all of the drama of other people. And when you travel on the road with the same or the different sexes and you have women and men in the same facilities every week, like, is this a recipe for disaster? Like, a lot of people don't realize that like NBA or NFL, it's only men or it's only women. Yeah. Like, there's never the two really don't coexist except for tennis, like the big tournaments and the slams. And you always hear horror stories about what happens at those events. So people don't really realize like the drama and the temptation that is there that other people aren't exposed to in other sports because they're able to focus and be with the same gender. And there's not this like, oh my gosh, there's this new person, or there's not that distraction. And in pickleball, we have that. But that's also the beauty of mixed doubles because people love mixed doubles. But I think the fact that Hunter and I were able to find each other during a time that we were both not expecting the relationship to ever happen. And it was a relationship at a time that we both really needed it. And we were such a support system for each other that I couldn't imagine my life with him not on the road. And I'm just really grateful for the time I was able to spend with Hunter and with Yates and with you. And I'm just so grateful for it because you don't find relationships like that.
Yeah.
And especially in professional sports, like the fact that we were able to travel together and we played together for a long period of time. And some people may forget that, but like when we played on APP, like we played almost every week together and we were able to win together and we were able to lose together. So like you learn so much about someone going through all of that. And the fact that we're able to share that with each other is such a cool story. And I'll remember it forever. And I will always cherish that relationship with his family and Yates and with you. And everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. And I think that we were together for such a time that it's so special to me. And I'll always hold him so dear to my heart and so close to me. And I hope that, and we even talk about like, we want to stay friends and we want to maintain a good relationship because why should there be any animosity or hate between us when we've built this beautiful, not just relationship, but friendship. Yeah. And I appreciate him so much for everything that he's done for me because he supported me from day one. Yeah. And I've never had that in a relationship. And the fact that he was able to do that for me and like be selfless enough to like always be on my bench and always helping me and always coaching me, traveling me. And like, we have times where like you said in North Carolina, like I was overwhelmed and the travel can get really difficult for me and like the demand of all the tournaments. And like, he was always there to tell me like, you're going to be okay. I'm here for you. Yates is here for you. Roscoe's here for you. So like we had our beautiful circle and our friendship. And I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, and you're great friends with Hunter and Yates, and I've become good friends with them. And I will say, like, you know, I've talked to Hunter at the last, you know, tournament and on the phone, and we talked about the podcast and you coming on, and he was like, yeah, absolutely have her on. And he said nothing but so many, just everything positive, and just I want the best for her, and I just want things to be cool, and I care about her and love her so much. And so I think that's like a great example of what a healthy, good relationship looks like when it comes to an end, and who knows what the future holds. Life is long. But I appreciate you sharing that. And you know, I think that y'all are both amazing people. So
seriously, I think, and just spending so much time with both of you guys, I mean, I know you guys so well. It's almost funny to even just think about the way you guys were, and I knew, you know, what roles both you guys played in the relationship, and you know, what things bothered you and what things didn't. And it was just like, at the end of the day, sometimes things don't work out, and I think that's fine. But there was never any like it didn't seem like there was any bad blood or anything. Like it just it's so hard, I think, for people to have relationships in life sport like this. In life. And that's why, like, for me, I mean, my girlfriend has nothing to do with pickleball, but I think it's just like, I just think it would be a total grind to do that in this sport, and you guys did it beautifully.
And all the content and just like showing the love, like a lot of the relationships in the sport are kind of under wraps, and I understand why people do that too. But I thought it was so cool how y'all, and I like, I'd always rip on it in the comments, like super cheesy. I think I did the cheese.
I think I had to mute you at one point.
But the cheese emoji, whatever it would be.
What does that even mean?
It was cheesy because all the videos of y'all, like,
I always wondered why you were doing cheese. I didn't put cheese.
I'm cheesehead. But no, I really thought it was cool, and maybe I was like, you know, kind of jealous of like all the young love. Yeah, you know.
Jared's so jealous. But I'm telling Kira.
No, I mean, you know, young love, like in the, you know, early stages is a magical time, and so is, you know, 10 years in as well. A little less magical, but it's still very magical. I love you, Kira. Well, cool. I appreciate you sharing that. I felt like kind of a jerk for when you got emotional there. But I think you
should.
Like,
Jared's a total jerk.
This whole thing, this Pickleballers is about not just talking about the pro game and the results. It's about understanding who people are as human beings, and it's bringing on like the change makers and the top pros and the celebrities, people with the personalities and the stories. And I think your story is fantastic. I think it's amazing. And just your vulnerability and openness is, you're just very unique, I think, for the sport. And I admire it.
I'm going to completely flip the mood and ask some funny, hot takes questions.
Can I ask you one question first before you start?
No, please.
Sure.
So there was a hot list created in pickleball, and you were number one on that hot list, Roscoe.
I don't know
how do you feel
I create
about that?
Did you make that?
Did you make that is my question.
I mean, I didn't make it because I mean, I will say, and I'll start by saying, because I saw the list. I mean, some of the names, some of the names on that list. I mean, there's people missing.
Yeah.
There's people
Who's missing?
Oh, there's a good amount.
Is Pat Smith on there?
No.
He's so cute.
Jay DeVilliers is not on there.
Not on there.
He's like a golden goat.
I would say like a Max Friedman's not even on there.
Oh yeah, super.
James Ignatowicz is not on there.
A lot of good looking dudes
Roscoe
on there.
made this list. That's why I keep going back
Roscoe,
to.
Put it this way, if I were to make the list, they would have been on there.
Who shouldn't be on there, Roscoe?
Oh gosh, I can think of 10.
I don't even know. I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
I saw this list.
Who did someone send it to
for
you?
those. It's on Ranker. We'll pull it up.
My brother sent it to me. Yeah,
and were you at number one at the time?
My brother sent it to me, and then I
up?
walked into San Clemente, and Tyler Loong said something to me about it.
Who do you think created it? Let's.
I think a troll created
there's some
it.
name. There's some name on
it.
there. There's some name on like Ranker. It was
Ranker's the website.
Yeah, but but I'm saying there was like some like who it's people create lists.
There's no female. There's no women's list.
Well, imagine how that would go down in the women's game of like how women compare themselves to other
Well, there's
people
definitely
would
women's
not
lists
be good.
for every other sport. I
For
guarantee,
sure,
on
but
ranking.
I'm
Yeah.
just
I mean,
that's probably
it's
why.
inevitable. It's
That's probably
inevitable.
why. But the men's list is so like it's not accurate at all.
not. Right,
I mean,
Roscoe number
Roscoe,
one.
like you're a very good-looking guy. I will say that. Would I put you number one? I don't know.
I don't know if I would put me number one either.
But
number one
media,
in your
just
heart
so
and
everyone
your
knows,
head.
media people were not allowed on the list, obviously. Okay.
Jared Paul was not considered
Jared's like,
for
what?
this.
Jared. No, I thought it was silly. but it
Dane, my co-founder Dane.
Yeah,
I
Dane
mean,
is-
he'd be
You
up.
keep saying how hot he is.
He's a good looking. He's like John Mayer.
Oh,
he's like my
shit.
son. He's like my brother.
So let's say there's $1 million and you're playing Ben and Anna Lee and you had to pick one men's doubles partner, who would it be?
No, you mean one mixed
like
doubles?
against them, or could I pick Ben?
One mixed partner.
Yeah, mixed, like
Yeah.
a men's guy.
I'd pick Declan. I think.
Really?
I mean, Declan and I have very good chemistry on court. I can't explain it. I've played with a lot of top guys.
Actually,
and
I
I've trained
watched
with
you and
them.
Deckel beat or win Red Rock, and Deckel was magnificent.
When Declan is on, he's a different animal, and he just has such a big presence and such a big
Gets so
body.
hype too when
He does, yeah. And his like roar is
Yeah.
like so impactful, and like I really enjoy the intensity he brings and the positivity, because when I play with him, he's so supportive, and I really enjoy that because I feel like I try and give the same, and when someone gives that back, it's like it's very, I don't know, we just play off each other and our chemistry is great, and I loved playing
That
with
was such a
Declan.
definitive answer. Before we ask the next question, another thought just came to mind at PPA Newport when you got injured.
Oh gosh, yeah,
I was
that's a tough
on the
one to
rail
think back to.
watching that. I have
Were
it on,
you really?
I have it on video.
Do you never posted it though?
No, I mean
You would have
that-
got a lot of views, I think,
that
from that.
well, now
Jared.
maybe we will because
Oh,
now
shoot.
you're healthy.
Wow.
But that was. Do you know about this?
Nope.
What'd
I
you
don't think I was
tear?
playing
Like,
that.
I tore my hamstring at MLP. I was running back for a ball, and they had like dust and leaves on the court, and I slipped on a leaf, and like right when I went down, like I heard a pop,
I heard the pop. I
and
think, too.
Oh gosh.
but I finished playing the match.
You-
Like
you
Zane and I were
finished.
about to win, and we were up, like we almost had match point, and I was like on one leg, but I was like, we can win this and we can finish this, and it was like,
Did you win?
no, we ended up
Dude,
losing.
they-
I was like
they-
hobbling.
They were just target. I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't
I
make
couldn't.
sense.
I mean, I
It's
couldn't
impossible.
move.
But
like,
but that resolve, I remember. Like I have all the points after that too, and it was like it was crazy. Anyways, I just thought about that. I'm happy you're healthy.
Thank you. That was a hard
All
time.
right, so you're in a car with and you get a flat tire. What male pro would you want in the car to fix that? Like who's the one that can fix that thing?
As far as like he's handy,
Yeah.
Can
Or
I answer that? I have my answer for
No,
sure.
'cause I'm asking
But yeah, I know.
first,
I
but
know
yeah,
you
yeah.
answer, but I have an answer.
that's so interesting.
There's like one guy who should stand out. He like,
AJ?
yeah.
Why is AJ always the answer?
He did construction. The guy's like,
I didn't know that
he
AJ did
could build. He
construction.
could build anything.
Really?
Yeah. He could fix my car.
Maybe you should call him up.
I feel like Dylan could do it. No?
No
Who's your
way.
answer? Do you have one?
Gosh,
I could see Federico being like, wow, what is this?
what is this tire?
But
While you're
You know
thinking
the
about
stories
that,
of like Pablo and Fed like running out of gas
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the side of the road.
well, I
at
mean,
the
we told
tournaments?
that on our
Oh,
pod.
you guys
Yeah.
talked about that.
another one is while you think about the flat tire, who would fix a toilet?
AJ Kohler.
Okay. And then who would kill a spider?
I just want to say I've had AJ fix my toilet.
no. That's too much.
Okay, so like, who would kill a spider if you like? Who's just I kill it. I think Jamais would like kill it and then eat it or something.
I think he would eat it and take the legs off like one by one.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
my
I feel
God,
like
what
that's
a
a very
sick
dominant
man.
puppy.
I would love to see Gabe kill a spider and like what he would do in that
Cardio?
situation. Yeah, because
God.
I feel like the spider would eat him.
Yeah.
maybe.
I feel like he'd have like, be like, whoa. Like, I feel like he kind of like get freaked out. I feel like they'd
Yeah.
like go back and forth.
He'd wrestle a little.
It'd be like a little like, yeah.
Okay, so we don't know the flat tire. Another $1 million question. You have to play one male top 10 singles player. You get $1 million if you win. Who's it going to be? We'll throw out some names of who the potential options are. You got Ben, you got Christian Alshon, you got
Ooh.
Connor Garnett, you got
Hunter.
Hunter. Roscoe's unfortunately right outside. You're like 12. You got
Actually,
I would love to play you, Roscoe,
I was top 10 US.
Roscoe and I have had some
All right, we'll
singles
put
matches
Roscoe in there too.
that haven't ended so well for Roscoe, you know?
What?
Who else? Jamais in there?
Yeah,
Xiaomi's
he's like
in
5
there.
right now, 4 or 5.
Jack Sock's in there.
Okay,
Is he in
so
the top 10?
I think
$1 million
so.
bucks. Who you picking to try to beat?
I would either choose Ben or Christian, and I'm going to say Ben because he's the best in the world, and I would just love to beat Ben. Like I just, you know, it's just that that stigma of him being Ben, like, but also I find a lot of joy when I beat Christian, and I just do because I think that he has gotten so good and he can be so like himself in so many ways. Like it's just very satisfying to be Christian. So it would be
So
one of the
mean.
two.
He gets so upset.
No, but like he cares, and I
Yeah, he does.
appreciate
He's a
that
dog,
as a
yeah.
competitor. Like he's such a competitor, and he's so driven, and he's put in so much time and work, and you can see that.
Yeah.
And he cares so much. But like when you play against someone that cares so much, you want to win even more because you know how much it means to them. So it's same as like an Andre. Like you play Andre, and he cares so
Yeah.
much, and he loves the game. You're like, I want to beat him.
Do you remember the 2 times we played pickleball against each other? One
I
was
tried to
one
take
was
that
at
out of my
MLP.
memory because I just feel like you're so elite, Jared, that when I put myself on the court
Yeah.
with you, I
love
feel
the
like
way
I have
she
so
answered
much
that.
to learn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
and just
steal that.
so much to grow. I just don't want to be on the court with someone of like your echelons.
Oh my
my-
gosh. I need like when he
like such a
says dumb stuff
standard.
like that, just telling him how good he is. I think that's
I didn't say how good. I didn't. I was just curious if you remember.
my
He
God. I
was
love
he
the
was
way you
basically
answered
telling me
that.
how good he was without saying how good.
no,
Yes.
but I will
Gosh.
say, like,
I always like try to argue them. It just goes downhill.
we played, and I was like, oh, she's gonna be whatever. Like you were like insane. And
I
this
think because
was-
I was going 100% on you.
This, no,
like,
we
I was
were on the same
body bagging
team. No,
you.
we were on the
Oh.
same team. This was MLP, I think Austin, and we were on the same team.
Okay.
We played after.
Yeah.
And you were like a beast. But then we did play at that house with Dobrik. We played singles. I got 1 point off you. I have it on
But did we
video.
play to 11?
Yeah, you smoked. I mean, your
I mean,
passing
I
shots
hope.
were insane. But
All right, guys. Parris, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you being vulnerable and just I think telling people a lot about you. It's super cool because I know so much about you, but I think it's something that other people should know as well.
Thank you guys for having
Yeah.
me. I really appreciate it.
thanks, Parris.
So thank you guys.